Hello, everybody, and welcome to TNM Coaching Unplugged and Zoran Todorovic Interconnected Podcast, the space when you elevate your hearts, you elevate your minds, and you elevate your soul to the next level of itself, the space of the juicy personal development conversations. And today we have a beautiful friend, collaborator, and colleague joining us. She's one of these rising stars, you know what I mean? I'm following her career with a great interest, and then she publishes the book, and then she's on the TV, and then she's in the newspaper, then she writes an interesting blog. And I always get inspired by Rikke Østergaard, who is a Danish sociologist, keynote speaker, advisor, and author. She specializes in the field of leadership development, mind training, and job satisfaction. So even though we're going to be talking about the broader topics today, some of this conversation might be relevant to people who are leaders, people in organizations, but also all people, all human beings. Rikke, she's the first corporate sociologist in Denmark and differentiates herself by having unique perspective and a 360-degree view on the business, on societal structure, social psychology, and neurosociology. Wow, all the sociologists are in there. She's also an author of the first Danish book on gratitude, which I really, really love, because you know how much we love gratitude on this podcast. We talked about gratitude a lot, but she also looks into gratitude as the invaluable tool against stress reductions, and also a tool that helps us create a healthy work environments and strengthen our social relationships. She's also writing her new book, and today we're going to be talking about that as well. We're going to be talking about emotions, and I think that we are now recording just before New Year's and before Christmas. This is going to be released immediately in the new year. But this topic of the emotions, emotional pollution, acupressures of the emotions. So let's dive into that. Let's kind of play with the landscape of emotion. Rikke, welcome.
Thank you so much, Zoran. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, it's so lovely that you and I connect here and we can chat about different emotional issues. So tell me about this new book that you're preparing, because in our preparation, we started talking about the emotions, and I think that will be a good space to start from.
Yes, it's already published in Danish. However, it's not out in English yet, but I hope it'll come out in English here the first quarter or second quarter in 2022. And it's basically, in Danish, it looks like this. And it's basically, you can see it's a balloon here where all the energy has left the balloon. So it's flat. And it's basically what happens to us human beings when sometimes we can enter a room full of energy and something happens or someone happens. And we don't really realize what's happening. But when we leave the room, we feel completely drained or empty. And I found that extremely interesting, especially when we talk the workforce, but also families and friendships. Are you gaining energy when you're with your friends, or do you feel drained afterwards? And it's not like it's always either or. It's like emotions are so interesting, and I think that's why we don't have much on them, actually. This is the first book in Denmark, definitely on emotions in labor, like the workforce, how you use it at job. But it's really hard to talk about, because, for example, when we talk about stress, we always talk about that we have too much to do. It's too many things on my plate, we say. But as I see it, from a sociological point of view, I see that it's often, a lot more often, that it's simply the work environment which is drained emotionally. Mm-hmm. So I think us human beings are capable of being super busy and having a lot on our plates, as long as it's in a good vibe and we're happy. But as soon as someone starts nagging on you or complaining all the time, and then it can be like a balloon. The energy just goes out, and you don't really know what happens, but suddenly you actually feel that you're not just losing energy, but you're getting sick from stress, because if you're in this work environment for too long. And this also happens at home. And then I'm very inspired by two scientists, or Nicholas Christiakis and James Fowler. Nicholas Christiakis is from Howard, and he's like really done a lot of research on how contagious emotions are, and how much we contaminate each other in like 3 layers. So it's a 3rd-degree contamination, he calls it, but it's actually the same as with Corona. We see they're talking about that it's very contaminating in like, so if you meet your sister today and her husband's colleague had Corona, there's actually a chance that you can get it. But it's the same with happiness and stress or unhappiness. There's 9% chance that you'll get it if you meet someone today that's been in contact with someone that had these strong emotions. And I find that super interesting. So we can actually increase our own happiness and increase each other's with being aware about this, how contaminating we are. And we need to raise each other, so.
Raise that vibration. And I always said, in the workplace environment, that the leader, for example, is the one who sets the emotional tone. The leader sets the vibe, or all of us within the organization, we can set that vibe so that we can feel good or we feel bad. And I think the emotional issues at work are so important. And you're absolutely right. Not so many people are still talking about it because they're invisible, intangible, and then we keep it to ourselves. And we don't fully express, here is how I feel. My husband annoyed me this morning. I really woke up feeling irritated, and then I came into my work office space and I'm still carrying that same emotion with me, and I'm transferring that onto somebody else, right?
Yes, exactly. And the most interesting part is actually we're not aware about it. So you might have been sleeping very badly this night, and you had an argument with your husband last night, and you still carry this emotion, as you say, but you're not aware about that. You're actually bringing it into the new setting with new people, and now you are spreading it onto them unconsciously. So that's why we have to raise our consciousness to be aware about this, to also change the energy. As you say, the leaders are they're the leader of the group, and they are contaminating, but that it gets maximized with minimum 4. So if I'm the leader in the group, my emotions are much more contaminated than the rest of the group because I'm the herd leader. So you have to be very aware about it. And it's the same. The leader in the family is the mom and dad. It can also be in other different settings. For example, a school teacher is the leader in the classroom. So they are much more contaminating their emotions. The students will look much more to how the teacher's emotions are. As in the family, the children just copy the parents' emotions. So if you think they're in a bad mood, you have to look at yourself and think, how is my mood? Is it actually, are they just mirroring my mood?
Yeah.
Children are like small mirrors,
Yeah. And because there's also something about us synchronizing our emotions. I mean, if somebody is perceived as a leader of the pack and he or she is carrying that emotional tone, emotional voice, vibration, basically, we tend to harmonize. And it also depends to what degree we are harmonizing. But I love this new language that you're bringing, which is the emotional pollution. I never thought about this that way. And when you told me about it, I was like, this is a good language because it's strong enough to make us feel aware, right? Because if you don't use it like that, we will never be aware of this is actually emotional pollution, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the climate. It's like I explain emotional pollution as if you have a ship. Everyone can understand this. If you have a ship on the sea and it's full of oil, it's all tank ship. And then there comes a little hole in the ship, and somebody doesn't see it. There's a lot of people that would pass through and they're just too busy and they don't see the hole. Then someone would pass and say, oh, there's a hole, there's oil going out in the sea. But they're like, that's not my responsibility. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fix it. So they will also pass. And then there will be someone noticing it and thinking we have to get that fixed, but I don't have time right now. So they will also pass. And then it happens that the oil is slowly like getting out into the ocean. And then when you realize you have to get the hole fixed, it might be too late because it's polluted. It's like, it's not too late, but it's a huge job to fix it when the pollution has first happened. So in my book, I work with two different ways of looking at the emotions. It's emotional hijacking. It's when you feel hijacked in the moment, like I was in a good mood, and then suddenly you said something to me that hijacked my emotions. It can be like feeling unfairness, or that you are like talking down to me. So I felt like some arrogance, and that really hijacked me emotionally. But that's not pollution yet. The pollution first happens when we leave the room, and I keep thinking about it, and I keep talking perhaps with other people. I mean, not with you. I talk, with all this, like we talk with the people behind and around, but we never actually talk to the one person that did this to us, or so we can fix the problem. And then the pollution starts. Then it starts going. So that you can say, what do you do then? The only way you can stop the pollution is actually talking to the person, or thinking it could have happened on the street and it's a person you don't know and you'll never see them again. Then you might have to say to yourself, when you raise your awareness and say, I don't even know the person. And there's a great chance, actually 99% chance, that what he said to me had nothing to do with me. So when people are insulting each other or saying bad stuff to each other, normally it has nothing to do with the person actually calling things. It's something that they got contaminated by someone. That's what I love about the theory when you go into the science about how contaminating emotions are in many layers. Is like, so that also shows us that the people you meet, they're putting their emotions onto you. So like very simple, if you went into a room and somebody was sitting like this and looking at you, you'll be like, what have I done to you?
Yeah, exactly.
But the theory is saying you haven't done anything to this person because this person is in this mood. And I had a student the other day. I had a big leadership course here in Copenhagen, and they're all paid to get on this course. It's like, it was quite a lot of money. It was like 450 euros each. And there were 80 people in the room. And then one of them, she comes in and she was she seemed so angry. And she sat down like this and she was looking at me. And I was like, oh my God, there's one person in the room that don't want to be here. And it was so funny because I really got caught in this myself. And I thought, I bet she doesn't like me or what I have to teach her now. She was even rolling her eyes when I asked them to think about a topic. But then when we had a break, she comes up to me in the break and she wants to buy my books. And I was like, that it doesn't go together. She was sitting at me like this, and now she wants to buy my books. And she says, I just find this so amazing and I really need it right now because I'm really caught in my emotions for some private stuff. So I really need to be here right now, she said. Wow. And it was like, so interesting. Therefore, the first hour of the day, I thought that this has something to do with me and my teaching, but it was absolutely nothing to do with me. It had something to do that she was in her mind sitting and thinking of something completely different that has nothing to do with what we were having there. But she said she actually really needed this right now. And so she was emotionally hijacked there, but it would only become an emotional pollution if she hadn't told me. And the whole day would be like, I would start going like, why is she here? Why doesn't she just go? And, and start talking to other people about like, that woman over there is a bit weird. And then the pollution would start and would pollute the room, if you understand so I love that word of hijacking, You can be like hijacked completely, like, oh, no, why did
Exactly. You're bringing the new language. And this is what I love about this conversation, because when we talk about emotional intelligence, there's a lot of out there, but it's not this practical and this specific, because we all have been in these situations when somebody hijacks our emotions, right? I know this really, really well. But for example, I'm empath, and I have this big ability to empathize and to feel other people. So that's my gift, right? But with that gift, when it comes, is that you can over empathize, that you can be easily hijacked and moved into somebody else's emotional space, unless you know how to put certain practices in place and understand what is mine and what is yours, and how to distinguish between those two dynamics, right?
It's actually really good. We talk a lot about like sensitive people in Denmark, but if you're super sensitive and then you can spot the pollution before anyone else, and really need these people to tell us, like, I'm also one of them. So it's not by coincidence I'm really interested in this topic, because I really sense all the emotions going on in the room. But when I was younger, it kind of sometimes hijacked me, because I got like swollen into the emotions, where today I'm the observer. But I also see it as a great gift, because I really need to be aware, and perhaps being one of the first saying, we need to change the energy right now, because this is not good, what's happening right now. Or do we need this? It's actually really good when you work with emotions, you can be 100% sure that people around you, everyone just wants to live a good life. Everyone basically just wants to be happy. So nobody wants to have this pollution. Everyone is going like, if you are the first one or the brave one to say, I find this a bit polluted in here, if you know what you're talking about, it's like, what's happening? People will be like, whoa, good you saw it. Yes, you're absolutely right. We need to change that, because nobody wants that. We all want to fix the problems and have a happy and better life.
Exactly. And you
more
also
grateful in life.
Grateful for life. And you mentioned something wonderful here as well, courageousness, right? Having a courage to notice, observe, to raise the hand and say, I'm feeling like this. Here is what I'm observing, without blaming people, for the situation. But it requires a little bit of courage. And this is the reason why I love when we bring the new language to people and say, you can do this, right? If you are super sensitive, if you can observe the dynamics in the room, then you can voice it, you can language it, and then everybody else will really, really be grateful for that. Because guess what? Everybody else is feeling it too, right?
Yes. Exactly. It could be a very simple example is that we're sitting and complaining a lot about things we can't do anything about anyway. It could be Corona. So we're sitting and complaining and then one raises his hand and says, hey, but we can't do anything about this. Shouldn't we change the subject, or shouldn't we change the atmosphere, because this is just getting us down? And most people would be, you're absolutely right. It's right. We're complaining about the weather. It's raining outside. Yeah, but it is raining. And in some countries, they would be happy for rain, but we're not. But let's talk about something else if we don't like rain. I mean, we could choose, do I want to go outside or do I want to stay inside? Then I can be grateful if I can just stay inside, or I can be grateful for having an umbrella, but just change the awareness. And it's stupid to letting it drain me. It's actually very interesting when you go into the brain science of emotional hijacking, and like if you get hijacked in your emotional life, in your daily life. I'll just show you a little drawing I have in my book. But then it hijacks your crocodile brain, and your crocodile brain will make. You can see this little picture here. You have the reptile brain, yes. And when we get emotional hijack, we go down to the reptile brain, and then it closes down for the neocortex and the limbic system. The limbic system is our emotional intelligence, our social intelligence. And the neocortex is our IQ and our awareness about, like, I'm not behaving like this. Normally, I'm a clever human being. I'm behaving like this and this. But that actually closes down. So what happens is that if we are caught in our emotions, we become selfish, we become stupid because this is closed down, and we have a low emotional intelligence. So suddenly I don't see that people around me are scared or sad. I'm just like an elephant going, because I'm trying to save my own life. And that's what I find so funny in our today's society. And many people run around and behave like if they're in life-threatening danger all the time. So they become actually a stupid version of themselves and a social unintelligent version of themselves. So and everyone wants to be the best version of themselves. Nobody wants to be the worst version of themselves. But when we stress ourselves with irrelevant things, then we become a really bad version of ourselves. Right. So it's not only about being aware about the emotions I'm getting contaminated by, but it's also being aware not to fill my life with stressful things that are not useful. Like could be stressing too much about what to wear in the morning. That's like Mark Zuckerberg and Barack Obama and Steve Jobs that they had to use their head during the day in making really big decisions. So they couldn't start stressing their brain in the morning with thinking about what to wear. So they all just wear the same, Barack Obama wears 2 different types of suits. He switches every day, but it's just a way of thinking what actually drains my energy and what gives me energy. I start thinking about in life, do I waste too much energy in worrying or too much energy in not being able to find my things, and then clean it up, like mentally clean it up so you don't stress too much, because they can easily hijack that reptile part of the brain.
Yeah, and then you close up, and then neurologically, you're not able to be that best possible version of yourself. So,
yes.
So as we kind of coming towards the end of this recording, when it comes to the practicalities, how can we be more aware of emotional hijacking to start with, and then emotional pollution that we spread ourselves, so to say, and what can we do about it? Just kind of small steps, for the audience to kind of begin thinking, oh, that's a great concept. I understand exactly what you're talking about, but people ask, but how do I do this, right?
Yes.
So what would you
say? Hijacking part is both very easy and very, very difficult. But the first part you have to start looking at what kind of situations can hijack you. You cannot prevent yourself from being hijacked if somebody is on the street is driving into you, and but situation is like, we all have the situations that we meet sometimes several times a week or every day, the hijackers. It could be like a silly thing I found, that is many businesses in Denmark, they have a dishwashing machine. And then we have this group of people that always put their cup in the dishwashing machine. And then there's this group of people that just place it on a table and think that's a miracle. It always just get washed up by itself, that the optimistic people, but the people putting the cup into the dishwashing and also taking the colleague's cup, they start getting hijacked by it, because they're like, do you think I'm your servant? Yes. So, and then I'm like, when we look at it, it's completely irrelevant emotions to use in just a cup in a dishwashing machine. So you have to do something about it. Either talk about it on a greater level, make a rule for that's how it is. But I also tell them who gets hijacked, just leave the other cup. Don't do it. Just take your own cup and just walk on, But it could also be people running late, people forgetting a point, and you think, I would never do that because I do it with respect for other people. I'd be on time. But you cannot make a conclusion that other people is disrespectful because they're not on time. but you can tell them that it's really important to me that if we have a meeting, you're on time, and you can choose if you want to wait for them or if you just want to leave if they're not on time. But we have to look at all our values as a human beings also has a dark side. Mm-hmm. So if I value, I think a good human being is a good listener, I can get hijacked by people who don't listen, who interrupt. So you have to look at what kind of personalities or things can hijack me in my daily life, and then take 100% responsibility for that. That's just because I see it as a great value, but I cannot assume that other people see it as a great value as well. Mm-hmm. They might see it another value in, if they run late, at least they're in a good mood when they show up. But basically in corporate life, we need to talk about it. How do we behave? Is it a great value that we have to be on time? And then how do we succeed with that? But not wasting energy on getting hijacked. Mm-hmm. You also easily get hijacked. So if you look at when do I get hijacked, you easily get hijacked when you're low on energy. And that's probably in the afternoon or the evening where you come home from work. Mm-hmm. And you used all your energy at work. That's not how it's supposed to be. You shouldn't use all your energy at work. You should just stay balanced. But let's say that you did use all the energy. And then you come home and then someone is complaining that you forgot to empty the garbage can in the morning, or, you forgot to, and then you go straight to the reptile brain. And you think, why did I get so angry for just that? But that's because that you were stressed, or you were low on energy. So you have to be aware, if you're low on energy, be aware that you easily get hijacked. So you have to spread your energy, and you have to be also having time enough, get up 10 minutes early in the morning and start finding something to feel grateful for. Because if you practice gratefulness, that's why I love gratefulness or thankfulness. If you practice that, your brain is in balance. So these three parts I showed before, they're actually in balance. And then it's a lot harder to hijack you. Mm-hmm. If you think about 3 things or 10 things I'm grateful for today before I enter my workplace, I'm just in the car on my way to work, I'm thinking about today I'm grateful for, I'm sitting and finding funny things to be grateful for. Then when you enter the workplace, you are 100% balance, mm-hmm. but you're also a lot stronger emotionally if somebody can't just hijack you because you're in balance, so you'll be, I always say the strongest energy wins. So if you're in balance and you are aware about, I'm choosing to be grateful, mm-hmm. then you'll be the herd leader. People want to follow you. People always want to follow the good feeling, okay. but easily get hijacked on the bad feeling. So if they see someone entering the room and being really strong in a grateful or happy feeling, they would love to follow you. So you're really doing the best gift you can give other people here for Christmas or for New Year, to spread. If you say, I have this surplus energy, I'm like, today, I think I will spread smiles and I'll spread gratefulness, and people will be so happy for it. And then that's contagious. So they will spread it on as well. So everyone starts spreading it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So mindfulness, awareness, gratitude.
So to make it very simple. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, to make it very simple, it's like being aware from the moment you wake up in the morning, to start the day with saying, instead of, oh no, I have to do all this and I have to do this, thinking, just start deciding, what do I want to be grateful for today? Oh, you can just be, I'm going out for a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and that, I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for, you might have had a good night's sleep. If you didn't, find something else to be grateful for. You can always find, simple things to be grateful for.
Beautiful.
And then you start creating that balance.
Exactly. And I love that you're creating that balance, that balance makes you strong and less susceptible towards, being emotionally hijacked or polluted. And then you can be the one who is spreading the positive, wonderful vibes and take that leadership, because people love positivity. As you said, we're hijacked easily into negativity, but actually one of the beautiful things you also shared, we all love to have a great life. And we all love to stay in this positive, lovely energy. That's actually our natural state. It's unnatural to be hijacked in negativity and spread worry, concerns, anxiety, whatever we're spreading right now. And I think taking this ownership and responsibility on knowing that your emotional state is impacting other people. The beautiful thing that you shared with the three brains, and how when you close up the higher brain, we stupidify ourselves, and then we're not even aware that we are, impacting other people. I think that's an amazing thing, just to raise that awareness and ownership that we are the ones who are actually impacting people with our presence, with our energy, with our emotions on a daily basis, and we can take responsibility for it. And I think the beautiful thing is when you start practicing that, the more you give, the more you get, the more other people will hold you in this positive regard, because they would feel good in your company and they would love to be either your friend or led by you, or they would love to be a lover or a partner, because simply they feel good with the energy that you're sharing through your emotions. Beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Exactly. If I can just here in the end, I just show you, I have like this quote. I didn't write the quote, but the quote is like, feelings are much like waves. We can't stop them from coming, but we can choose which ones to surf. It's like that we people tend to believe in our emotions way too much. But instead, like the Buddhist or in meditation, you just are the observer of the emotion. And you can find it interesting, saying, that's interesting. Why do I have that emotion right now? But that distance yourself a bit from the emotion, so the emotion is not controlling you. And then you can also transform the emotion and thinking, so why did I get that emotion? And do I want to feel something different? Then you can start thinking differently. Emotions always comes from what you've been thinking, your way of thinking about things. So I like it's like a surfing or dancing with emotions, but not believing so strongly in them, just being the observer. And then it starts becoming really funny, because then other people can't have power over you emotionally. If you just see the emotions and what's happening, but you don't believe it to be as true as it feels in the moment. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% with you, but surf the emotion, don't identify it too much. It's a beautiful quote. Rikke, thank you so much for being part of our podcast today. I know that you have elevated my heart, at least, and my emotions to the next level of itself. So, as soon as the book is out of the English, please let us know so we can publicize this on our channels. We also have a good listeners and followership in Scandinavia. So people in Denmark who are listening to this, please go into the description of the podcast. We're going to link to all Rikke's websites and her social media so that you can order this book. It's a wonderful gift to the new year. It's an amazing book at this moment in time, at this situation, globally, because we all need to learn how to relate and manage our emotions in the most beautiful way, and how to spread this positive energy to other people. Thank you so much, Rikke, for being the guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Lots of love, and we'll see each other soon on the new podcast. Enjoy. Thank you so much for coming and listening for this wonderful podcast. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.